Good morning and welcome to our press conference this morning. It has been 2 weeks since we've had one with the Memorial Day holiday last week. Obviously, a lot of things have happened in 2 weeks, and we kind of want to catch you up to date on a little bit of things, and then we'll obviously take your questions from the press. One of the biggest things is certainly we were shocked and saddened by what we saw last week in Minneapolis with George Floyd and the things that happened there. Certainly, PPD came out and made the comment about that, and we feel the same way. And certainly, what we wanted to communicate this morning. But I did want to say, with all the tragedy that was out there, I was extremely proud of the way citizens in the city of Pensacola handled themselves in being able to voice their frustration in a nonviolent way. I thought the event that happened at the Trestle was a beautiful event. Candlelight vigil worked very well. I actually came through there late that night and saw it candlelit. It was very moving and touching. And I think the way we were able to handle it non-violently and do that was a great example to what we can do when we're all working together. I would also say I was very proud of the individuals there, even though it was a little bit against our COVID policy, but everybody seemed to be wearing masks, which we were very happy about. But overall, I think it was one of those things where it didn't comply with what we were looking to do with COVID, but it was certainly the right thing at the time. We certainly allowed it in what was going forward. I thought it was a great time for citizens to come together through the weekend and there at the Trestle. So again, I think this is certainly a way that we can show nonviolently the support and the efforts to move and make changes. Toward that end and making changes, I was also incredibly proud of the city of Pensacola to look on both Fox and CNN. I mean, if you're on Fox and CNN, you're showing some ability and diversity. But the speaker who they had commenting several times about issues of dealing with law enforcement and minority issues is none other than our very own Cedric Alexander. Of course, when we had the opportunity, we told you last year when we were working with him to bring him on board for training that he was world renowned in these things. And I think his expertise shows both Fox and CNN used him to discuss this. In fact, over the weekend, I talked with Cedric, and having him as a resource is an incredible resource at the mayor's office. So we've been working with Cedric since January. We've been working on training. I'm not saying we're perfect by any means, but we're getting better and we're learning. We're even learning from instances that we have ourselves and continuing to work better as a police force. And I think Cedric has given us the ability to do that. Second thing is we certainly also we had planned to get together in March. We were actually going to get together and begin to look at dealing with moving forward with a citizens initiative that would be working with the police. Of course, again, COVID sort of has taken that over, but we actually had it online to meet this week. Cedric and Lawrence and I are getting together this week and discussing that. So we are moving forward with many of the initiatives we talked about. Obviously, COVID has slowed everything down a little bit, but we're picking that back up and we're moving forward. So again, our thoughts and prayers continue to be with those in Minneapolis and the Floyd family, and we continue to work to make Pensacola a better place and a more inclusive place, and working together, and certainly in doing that and nonviolently. And I'm very proud of the individuals here working through that, and we're making our best effort to continue to find ways to work together as a community. Also, another event that has happened since the last time we were able to have a press conference was the passing of Don Caton, who was the longtime city attorney here at the city of Pensacola. Obviously, the Caton family has also been very involved in the city of Pensacola. As many of you know, Bruce, his brother, they were very active in the tennis scene. Both myself and my kids learned tennis from Bruce. But with the passing of Don Caton, the council recognized him. I think that we would like to do something with a recognition when we can get people back to and when we'll be back opening in City Hall. But I did at least want to recognize that and recognize what what certainly Don and the Caton family have meant to the city of Pensacola, and wanted to at least acknowledge that. The other thing that obviously was very big last week was the port and dealing with the streamlined boats lease. And again, I'm also very proud of the way that ended up being handled. I thought it was very productive on Thursday night, gave us a lot of chances to look at things. I think it also showed some challenges that we have in our own way we bring up business. If the only time we can bring it up is to bring it up for a vote, and we really don't have a committee of the whole or a variety of other forms to vet it publicly. I've already asked council and President Canada Wynn to look at changing the methodology that we do and look at some of our port and waterfront district leases having to come forward twice, once first as sort of a discussion item, and then eventually coming back when we're ready to present. I thought what happened both with citizens, council members, staff, I thought it was a good way for us to be able to see things that we had. Otherwise, I think through no fault of her own, Amy's been working very hard. She thought she had things. We certainly didn't understand some of the smell concept. We believe we had, based on some things were told to us by the tenant. We're going to continue to work on those things, and it probably will involve us even having to go down to Hialeah and just see that process. We don't want to do anything that's going to endanger the success that we're having downtown, and we certainly are very sensitive to the issues that smell may be bringing to it. So again, in many ways, she found things that didn't deal with traffic. There was no dust, vibrations, noise, but we are very sensitive to smell as well. So those are all things we're going to continue to look at. And I think the other thing is just having the opportunity to bring those forward. I don't think there was there was certainly no malice or problems in what individuals were doing. I think some of it was simply the procedures that we had in place forced us into a bad position. And I think changing some of those and asking for the discussion item is a much better way to handle this as we go forward. So we'll be doing that. As far as COVID specifically, I'm looking at the sheets now for Escambia County. There are now 815 positive cases of COVID-19 in Escambia County. However, the latest update shows the state shows a 1.4% positive test rate for May 30th, with many of the positive test rates in the last week being less than 1%. So I believe it shows that we are still seeing a lower incidence of positivity, which is some of the things that we wanted to do. We encourage everyone to continue to follow CDC guidelines and take every preventative action. Again, I think it was very good that I did see people. We did have gatherings, obviously, over the weekend related to the George Floyd situation and the individuals that we saw wearing masks. If we're going to be in public and gathering, I certainly appreciated people wearing masks. I think it's one of those things that we're going to continue to have to do for some time. But at the end of the day, I think it shows that we are making inroads both within our positivity percentages and in just general numbers, both going down. Towards that end, you may have noticed over the weekend that we did not have the dashboard updated over the weekend. We did not get data in from West Florida, while I believe Sacred actually shrank by 1 on Sunday and Baptist was constant. I didn't have West Florida's numbers, so we didn't send anything in. We'll get something this morning, and I'm on a phone call today with all the hospitals, and we'll update from there, and we'll have something for you Wednesday where we'll be able to discuss that a little bit more. So we're obviously continuing to work on that, and when we get those totals, we'll have them out there. But otherwise, hospitalizations continue to be very low in what we're seeing. So we're staying on top of COVID. We're hopefully trying to open more things, and we're going to talk about how some more of those things we're going to be opening. City event cancellations. Again, we are continuing to look at city events are canceled through, our permits are canceled through June 15th for events of 100 and fewer. However, I believe on June 15th, we'll be seeing that lifted. So we're using the June 15th deadline at events up to 100 people. We will look to move that and start allowing that, bringing back the use of the community centers open on June 15th, and certainly coming back. There'll be some procedures and protocols that will be there at community centers. So if you have events there that are after June 15th, I suggest you go ahead and begin to discuss with them and call them and see what protocols they'll be having. So those will probably be rolling out the next week or so. So I just ask you to look at those. City updates, community centers again will be reopening on June 15th. City Hall will remain closed to the public but we are still looking to, we're providing all of our services. We anticipate a reopening in early July when the state moves to phase 2. Pensacola Energy Customer Center, located on Roost Street next to City Hall, has opened to customers. So if you'd like to use the, while City Hall is closed, the Pensacola Energy Customer Service Center is open. So you're allowed to come there if you have any issues with your gas or you need to meet with people. We do have customer service there. We certainly will be wearing masks and we have all the protective glassware. But if you feel so inclined, that's certainly always better. But we are open. We are making sure those areas are cleaned and they continue to be accessible. This past week, we also had several comments related to the skate park. We have been pushing for this for some time. If you remember, the city has funded the skate park, but the skate park is a part of the overall Hollis T. Williams project, which is a project, the county restore project. The county has gotten somebody on board during this COVID process. They brought somebody on board that will be doing the engineering for it. And rather than have to do the entire project and wait around for the entire project, they are going to do it in phases, which means the first phase they're going to start is the phase planning for where the skate park will be. So as soon as that's done, we will be ready to move forward in trying to move into construction area, both for the park services as well as for the skate park. So again, I do think we're going to see the opportunity moving forward. It's been slower than we would like. I know it's been slower than many of you would like. I did want to update a couple of things that I talked to Brian about it over the fall. We thought we were going to be able to get some things from the provider of the courthouse that was going to give us a chance to do a mini skate spot. However, those things just did not materialize. I think Brian went up there. For one reason or another, we weren't able to get what we thought we were going to be able to get and make work. I do know that he is working with some people in the skate community about a mobile situation that we could take to different parks and be able to work through. He's still working through that. But our biggest thing is making sure we continue to focus on the skate park. And we've asked the county and they've agreed to do it in stages. So we want to get stage 1 going and get the skate park going. I don't have the exact details. I think as Brian said, optimistically it would be months, but I don't want to tell you something and then something happening. So again, at this particular time, we'll continue to keep pressing forward with what we can, but we're trying to move this thing as fast as we can. We've got somebody on board from the county, so we're excited about where that's going to go. Finally, also, we had a mayor's neighborhood cleanup. The mayor's neighborhood cleanup on Saturday was in a portion of East Hill. We collected 75 tons of bulk waste, 117 tires, and 1,490 gallons of paint. Neighborhood cleanups allow the City of Pensacola sanitation customers in cleanup area to leave eligible items at the curb for pickup, such as household appliances, furniture, tires, paint cans. The next mayor's cleanup is scheduled for June 27th. You can go online at the City of Pensacola and check out our map and see if you're in the area that will be in the June area. Also, the big thing that we've been talking about was the 2020 census. We had intended a huge kickoff if you remember, in March. Everything was set to come out. You got your letter. It was all predicated on where you were April 1st. Well, as you remember, about the middle of March is when we went into COVID and we couldn't get together, and we were at basically everything was shut down at the 1st of April. Many of you, 61, I think almost 62% of you in the City of Pensacola have responded, and that's awesome and that's great. Our target goal is 80%. If we can get to that, that's what we want to do. We'd love to get to 100%, but I think 80% is a more realistic expectation. We are moving forward with that on a number of fronts. You'll be seeing some things coming from both the county and the city now that we can kind of come back together. We want to look at some of our initiatives. There's no doubt in the north and the east portions of the City of Pensacola, we have higher result. We still have some challenges in the south and the west areas. So we're going to continue to move forward and find ways to get into those areas. One of the problems that we have, many of our problems are in areas where people are more renters, and we certainly understand the challenges that are there with that. So we're going to try to make sure that we make every effort to do that. If you're in those areas, we'd ask that you please work with us, help us find people if we need to contact and help get them anything. There are a variety of ways. You can do it over the phone. You can certainly do it online. We're going to try to help with you. It takes about 10 minutes to fill out. We will be out there working with it. If you have not filled it in, please call us at 311 and we will certainly work with you to help you get something or get a census. If you haven't gotten any of that information one way or the other, we will make sure we work with you to try to find it. Otherwise, we're continuing to look to identify opportunities, and probably once COVID relaxes and we can get it, to that time period in late June, early July, we may be able to do more door-to-door and looking at those things. So everything's a possibility, but we definitely won't need you to fill out your census. It's very important to making sure the data that we have on our community is correct. And so from that standpoint, we very much appreciate your time and effort, and we really appreciate the fact that 62% of you have already turned it in. We're shooting for 80%. We just got to work a little bit harder to get the last 18%, but thank you very much for your participation. Unfortunately, also a little bit of a downer before we go into questions. Today does mark the first day of hurricane season. Again, hurricane season runs through now, June 1st through November 30th. It's time to prepare now. I know this past weekend was the sales tax holiday. My family, we stocked up on batteries. I was at Target on Saturday. We stocked up on batteries. So hopefully you have the chance to stock up on batteries and other things. Many disaster kit items are tax-free. They continue to stay tax-free through June 4th. So again, get out there and start putting together a kit for you and your family. Make sure you have enough water, you have batteries, you have enough things to take care of the first 72 hours sort of on you. Also know your zone. Know your zone if you need to evacuate based on whatever the category hurricane it is, and then know where you're going to go. Make a plan already for your family now. If something was to come up, where would you go? And again, we're working on a number of things because we're obviously shelters are going to be difficult with COVID and social distancing. So it's going to be a much different hurricane season this year. So we ask that you take the time right now to begin to plan. We also, if you want to learn more about hurricane preparedness, go to bereadyescambia.com, bereadyescambia.com. That's it from some of the things that we're obviously wanted to get together with you about, and some of the things that are going on here. We'd love to know what your questions are and be happy to answer some of your questions. I know if one of them is when will we get back to probably being in person? If everything continues to progress the way it is, I think somewhere in middle July, we'll probably be back to having in person. When City Hall opens up, we'll probably be back to having in-person press conferences. So at this particular time, we appreciate your patience with us and continuing to work this way. And if there's anything we can do, just ask us the question. We'll stick around. Casey, make sure she gives plenty of time. If you have your question, please send it in to her, and I'm happy to answer.
All right, we just have one so far. It's from Laura. She said, we're hearing the COVID testing site at UWF is going to close because National Guard troops are being moved. Any thoughts on the impact for people in Pensacola, and have there been any requests for city employees to assist in keeping it open?
That was we knew that was not going to be a permanent location. It was announced it was only going to be 2 weeks when it first popped up. It's now been here 4 weeks. I think it was very good for us to get a level of more testing. When you look at where we are and the testing ratio of where it's going, opening it up, we still have our own testing here with Sacred and our other hospitals, so we'll continue to operate that. But I think most people over the last month that have wanted to know what they had that opportunity. We will continue to have the same testing we've had with the hospitals. It's always great to have more testing, but I understand the challenges that are there. The more we can work with Sacred or other Baptists in West Florida, and also the testing facility that we work at the county over there with community health. So we still continue to have a number of testing centers. The UWF one was nice because you could get so many people through there, and there was no real reason to call. But at the same time, I think at this point we can kind of handle what we did. I mean, the whole month of April and late March, we were using we were exclusively using the same services we basically have now, and they were able to carry us through it. And I think overall, the last month has showed us the ability for people who just wanted to know, and it certainly shows with some of our our positivity rate going down to under 1% right now, just being at about 1%. So I hope that kind of answers it. We're going to keep looking to see what we can do, but we're going to work with our partners, and I'll be on a phone call with them today at 2 o'clock.
All right, and this is from Jim Little. Demonstrations in Pensacola have been peaceful. Is there any worry it won't stay that way?
I mean, I think you're always concerned about what potentially happens with an event that's as sensitive as this. I mean, there's no doubt we were concerned last year. Anytime you always have things, you're always concerned anything can happen. I think at the end of the day, I think the things that you're able to do when it's peaceful, you can keep the focus on the issue that you're trying to deal with. When it becomes violent, all you're focused on is violence, and it just creates more. At the end of the day, I think what we're seeing and what we're moving to is very much trying to respond to doing that here in our little corner of the world. Like I said before, we've been very focused on how we can train to be better, and I'm not saying we're perfect at the City of Pensacola and the PPD, but we're working very hard, and you got people that want to do the right thing, and that's what we're going to continue to focus on. How we interact better with the community. I can tell you that every day I talk with Chief Leiter, he's working, his team is working to be a better police force, and we're constantly doing that. Any way we can, certainly Cedric Alexander helps us dramatically. Here's a guy, as I said, that is recognized all across the nation as an expert in this, and he just so happens to be from Pensacola, living here and helping us through this process. He's going to make us a much better force, a much more inclusive force, and understanding what we need to do to work with our citizens to be better, and that's what we're going to be focused on.
And this is from Jeremy at In Weekly. It's kind of long, but I'm going to read the whole thing. On the PPD Citizen Initiative, details, ETA, who will be involved, and what role. Will it be oversight, advisory, or purely ceremonial? We're coming up on a year now since Tamar Crawford was killed. There's been a good bit of time to address this, COVID notwithstanding. Why has it taken so long, and have the national circumstances lit any sort of motivational fire under this effort?
Jeremy, again, we made this very clear. We brought Cedric on. We started him first. We communicated that. We wanted him to start, and he started in January, beginning training. We wanted to go through that, and then we were going to get together. Obviously, that has not changed any of our stuff. The only thing that's changed anything is basically COVID has pushed us back about 3 months. So again, from being pushed back 3 months, I mean, we think we wanted to be somewhere with something by this summer. I think by the fall we'll have something together. We're trying to come back and figure out what we're there, and we're on the same timeline we were before COVID came in. So again, we kind of, like everybody else, we've lost 3 months to it. Our goal is to put something together that begins to allow us to evaluate and work and create better relationships with police. And so I think from that standpoint, that's what we're trying to do, is how do we create a better community for our neighborhoods as well as for our police. And I think if we do that, we'll be much more successful.
This is from Jeremy as well. How's it going with Bayview Community Center? Timeline, on budget, or overruns?
Yeah, I don't have that right now, Jeremy. I can get that information and we can discuss that on Wednesday. We'll get that, Casey, if we can get that from Brian and figure out, and also from Derek. I think obviously construction, everything was on time, but I think obviously construction, I've talked to several people. In fact, y'all probably saw I talked with Rob Favreau last week going out to Favreau Marine. One of the things he and I discussed is the significant impact that COVID has had on jail construction. So I can't expect that it didn't create some kind of impact on the Bayview Center. So again, those things we'll be working through. It's just one of the issues that we're running into. So there are a number of things that COVID has pushed back, but outside of losing those sort of those couple of months where we didn't have a lot of activity. We're going to pick it back up, and we'll just be a couple of months out, a little bit longer than expected. But overall, it seems to be moving forward. Everything I heard before was fine and moving forward on time. And I'll have you answers from Brian and Derek as to where we are and what's going on.
And actually, they both just commented that Bayview is on schedule, targeting an opening date of Labor Day as of right now.
Okay.
And I believe they said it's on budget too. Hold on. Yeah, sorry, I lost it for a second. And we don't have any more questions right now, but I'll hang out. Oh wait, we do have one more. Jim Little said, you mentioned someone from the city taking a trip to Miami for streamlined boats. Do you know when that will take place?
I don't know exactly right now. We're trying to circle back and try to figure out a couple of things and who it would be and what ends up happening. Obviously, one of the problems is nobody from City Hall is real excited about going to Miami at this particular time, with it continuing to still be the issues that they're dealing with COVID and what that means for us as far as our own policies here and what comes back. So, I mean, we're still trying to see from last Thursday whether we send somebody, whether we hire somebody down there, what we end up doing. Obviously, the cost of sending somebody down there is something. I mean, is it justified then to work with somebody down there? But then at the same time, you're not down there to know specifically what's happening. Obviously, there are a number of issues in the lease that we wanted to flesh out a little bit. The improvements, how do we tie the hands? What do we do to make sure and understanding a little bit better who the people are that are doing this, and clearly, finally putting in some provisions in the lease. I think more than anything else, putting provisions in the lease that are fairly restrictive. If there is any smell leaving the outside of the facility, that either they be fixed or else the lease could be terminated. Obviously, those put the significant burden on the tenant, and so we're looking and evaluating a couple of those things. But I do think at some point somebody's going to have to go down to Miami. But obviously, the challenges of where Miami is with COVID have made this, and somebody trying to get on a plane and drive down, have made this a little bit more interesting than it would have been in a normal situation. But we're continuing to work through it, and we'll have something, I think probably in the next week or so.
And Bayview is on budget as well. I don't see any new questions, so we'll hang around for a minute just because of the delay. But we had one just come in. This is from Andrew. Are Palafox Sundays over now? No, they are extended through. We sent them through June, so there will be 4 more of them. We continue to get, the people, generally the response I continue to hear is the people like them. The businesses who didn't like it before still don't like it, whether they're up closed or not. It seems to be challenges with it. I get it. As I've tried to explain to people, my situation, my decision had nothing to do with a permanent discussion. It was much more, how do we deal with COVID? How do we come through COVID and what we're doing? And how do we get people confident and feeling like they can come back to downtown? A number of things we're working on those initiatives. One of them also is how do we connect? We're working with Visit to connect people. We probably need some better wayfinding signs as well. Obviously, I think when parking comes back to the city, which was something big last week, and making that decision, we will be more over the wayfinding side for parking. We need better signs for our amenities in our parks, but we really wanted to invite people out on Sundays when there are very few businesses open to come out and experience Palafox and have it open and be able to see what's going on, give those businesses a chance to do more outside, and that's our whole goal. So again, from what I've heard from citizens, they tend to enjoy it. There's grumbling about people that want to figure out the permanency of this. We've said we only want to do it through the end of June, so we wanted to see and get people back used to the vibrancy of what was there, what's going on. So
I think you probably heard, we obviously the other things we've talked about, there will be no gallery nights right now through certainly June and probably into July, just because of the size gathering standpoint. So we want to give an opportunity for people to experience it, but do it in a way that doesn't build a significant crowd like a gallery night. So our goal has never been in creating a gallery night crowd. That's kind of the antithesis of what we wanted. We wanted a situation where people could feel comfortable, come down, not too crowded, be able to see it and experience it and feel good about coming back. If they feel good about what they see on Sunday, hopefully they'll come back on Monday through Saturday, and they'll do commerce with some of the people that are there when they're open. That's our whole goal and what we're trying to be doing going forward, and we're going to have 4 more of those.
This is from Jeremy. When did the city become aware of the South Palafox, i.e. Rolling Hills connection?
I think we became aware of that about was it the week before, right there before the Memorial Day weekend, was the first time I'd heard about it. So from that standpoint, I knew it was a Miami company. I didn't know their connection to South Palafox, but we'll continue to keep working. I mean, our goal is to work with viable businesses that are making products, hiring people, and able to generate revenue, but able to do it in a way that is conducive, to what's happening downtown. The South Palafox Group has operated in South Palafox for a long time, so apparently they've certainly had some bad experiences, but they've also had some good things as well. So from that standpoint, they've been here operating in the South Palafox area for a significant amount of time. We'll continue to look at it. I mean, our position is the important thing is whatever happens on the port, that it be productive, it generate revenue, it generate jobs, and it do it in a way that does not impact the success we're having downtown. That's what we're looking at.
We don't have any new questions right now, but I'll hang around for a bit just because of the delay, so just sit tight. All right, I'm not sure how long the delay is, but I'm not seeing anything else come in, so unless you have any closing remarks, I think we're good to wrap it up.
No, I certainly, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. We'll update you again on some things related to COVID and other things that are happening on Wednesday. Again, thank you to everyone out there, the citizens of Pensacola. I think they showed, again, the things we've been working on for now almost a year and a half, the Pensacola we can be and what we can do when we respect everyone and we work together. It gives us the opportunity to be a better community, a better city. And I think we saw that in what happened over the weekend. And again, from that standpoint, I thought it was a great memorial, and I think it was peaceful. And the things that are doing, we're making changes at the city every day to be a better city, to be a more inclusive city, and we're going to continue to do that.
We did have another question come in. Jim Little asked, is the South Palafox experience in Escambia County regarding Rolling Hills an issue for the city?
I think we're going to continue to evaluate however we need to evaluate it. We're going to make sure that whatever is placed at the port is a successful venture and does the things that we indicate, that we've said are important. That's what it's got to do. If it does those things and it can be successful, that's what's more important to us. I think the fact that they've had a bad experience makes us more vigilant in making sure that they actually can do what they say they're going to do. But that's what we'll be looking at.
All right, I don't see any new questions, so I think we'll wrap it up.
Thank you.